We take just 30 minutes. We need to first of all start. Okay. Nataka tuanze kwa introduction. Not introduction, actually, how we choose a topic. That's why I want us to start, because we have had some guys when you wanna select topic, lakini unapata there is no real problem that they are investigating. You're supposed to have a real problem. If, for example, if you're talking about Nokia, for example, which is an organization, you're supposed to bring on board a specific problem that is real, a problem that is really existing in that particular company. So that's why I want us to start topic selection. And then today, we look a little bit on, we spend some time also on ethics form, how we feel the ethics form, because we still have some guys who are not getting it well on that stage. So that's what we are going to cover today. So be sure to understand each and every step, how you select the topic, how you outline the objectives, the aim, and also choosing the most appropriate methodology to use for your topic. Because for example, kuna topics zingine unaweza fanya secondary data na upate uwezi fanya primary. Kuna zingine unapatanga ni primary data. Lazima utumie primary data for you to be able to achieve the main goal and to be able to also achieve the specific objectives of that study. So I want us to start from there. Selecting a topic, how you select a topic. One thing that you should know about this stage is that the topic that you've selected, the problem that you are investigating, because our research study is all about filling a research gap, filling a knowledge gap. There must be a knowledge gap, something that has not been done, and now you are doing it. So if there's no specific problem that you're doing, of course, you'll not be able to complete some chapters, because you'll be copy pasting or doing something that has already been done. So you just be like copy pasting from them what they have done. So make sure that the problem that you're investigating really exists. The problem should be existing in that particular company. So your study is seeking to solve it, is seeking to provide information on something that has not been covered. Okay, this is where I want us to start. For example, assume the topic will depend on the field ya student. Assume kuna student anafanya international business management, for example. So topic yako lazima ikuwe kwa international business na kitu kama hiyo, and you are doing it for a UK student, tuseme hivyo for example. So kama your topic inafaa ikuwe international business management na unataka ikuwe on a UK company, for example, assume you are studying, for example, the student has told you that he or she is working on something kwa company fulani. I like using Nokia because it's a real problem that is existing for that particular company. So assume, for example, let me share this. Ndio nione kama watu wengine kama Raymond wataelewa. So wait a minute. Let me share a blank Word document with this one. So tuko hapa sasa. Assume wait a minute. Kama kuna nini imechukua. Okay. Tuko hapa sasa. Assume you want to investigate something on Nokia and your student is doing the national business management. You're supposed to think about problems that people who work on international organizations face. Like for example, our students who wanasomanga international business management huwa wanaemphasize sana nini? Hizo courses zao zinaemphasize nini sana? So for example, a student wa international business management. For example, assume this is the student. In this case, for this particular student, unafaa uanze kufikiria wanasomanga nini. For example, utapatanga mainly wanasomanga about multinational corporations, challenges that they face, the workforce, teamwork, multicultural. Like for example, we find that in an organization you have employees from different cultural backgrounds, so huwa wanajaribu kusoma kujua how to manage these employees effectively. So your topic inafaa ikue on a multinational corporation. If you want to be specific on a given on the company sasa itakuwa lazima ikuwe multinational, lazima ikuwe ina work in the UK, na topic yako lazima ifocus on those topics. Multicultural teams, challenges of you can talk about globalization. You can talk about challenges that these companies in faces. They try to get new markets in foreign countries. You can talk about this of it now internationally, because you talk about international issues, companies, the issues that are faced by global companies. That's what they wanaangalia. So for example, mimi nikipewa topic na mtu kama huyu, the first thing that comes in my mind is, for example, nataka kuangalia nini. For example, assume for example I'm using primary data and I want to collect the data from a specific organization that has been provided by the student. One thing that should come, one question that you should ask yourself is whether that particular organization is global. So because in international student, lazima your organization equal global, so that now the problem or the issue that you're investigating equal real. So for example, in this case, wacha mimi niangalie Nokia as an organization. Assume I want to collect primary data from this company. If you want to collect data from this company, I want to investigate an issue, a challenge that this company is facing. That's what I'm doing. So the first thing that you should do, you've already chosen the organization. Ile kitu ya pili, angalia challenges, international challenges, global challenges that this company is facing. So kitu ya kwanza mimi nitafanya, I'll Google challenges faced by Nokia. Challenges faced by Nokia. Challenges faced. Strategic challenges faced by Nokia. Ukigoogle utapata hizo. For example, utakuja upate challenge ya kwanza. Poor strategic planning. Hiyo ni moja that the company has been facing. Competitive pressure, it has not been able to as in strategies that has been effective. That's why the company has failed and has been competed out by these other smartphone companies. So the innovation management is also weak. Naweza angalia kitu kingine gani? Operational failure, their corporate culture. Those are the main issues that the company is facing. Now, you can't discuss all these issues. You have to be specific on the issue that you're investigating. For example, maybe in this case, nitaangalia ile problem yenye Nokia ina face na most probably other global organizations are facing. So for example, mimi nitakuja niangalie hii corporate culture. Sasa nataka ni investigating the issue ya corporate culture, nikuwe specific on Nokia if I'm using primary data. If I'm using secondary data, because we are not collecting data by your organization, you can be in general. We about electronic companies in UK, unaweza ongea about but be specific on the problem. Make sure that if you're talking about that problem in a face Nokia, make sure that that problem is still existing even up to now. That's why you need to do some research. Actually, not little, you just need to do that research on that particular problem and check whether the problem has already been addressed. Or in this case, utaangalia whether you have had scholars who have talked about the same and check what they found. From those scholars, you can find like we still have some knowledge gaps that identified. Knowledge gaps, they said this has not been addressed and needs to be addressed. So you go ahead and address that particular problem. So you need to do that research after you identify the issue that you need to talk about. So for you now to be able to choose a specific aspect of that problem that has not been covered by past scholars. So in this case, I will narrow down my research to the corporate culture system of Nokia. So now I want to get my topic from that. The first best approach to business. New thinking to handle the challenge posed by the new. So I read about corporate culture of the Nokia and know exactly how it led to the company's failure. That's how now I'm going to develop my topic. Pia unaweza angalia operation of failure. The production points faster than push up PowerPoint. So in this case, for example, pia unaweza angalia product inaitwa product development. Unaweza investigate an issue to do with the product management and how a minute. Okay, now so let us assume for example tunaangalia about corporate culture, naona itakuwa very wide. They are not talking about a specific issue. Corporate culture. Okay, let's talk about operational failure and specifically talk about product development. The product development challenges that Nokia faced and led to its failure. Ama unaweza ongea about impact of factors that led to operational failure of Nokia. Ama unaweza focus, if you want to be general and you want to use secondary data, you can talk about an investigation on factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies in the UK. So assume in my case, assume for example in my case, wait a minute. Assume for example, naangalia about operational. I'm focusing on operational failure. Operational failure. Na after my investigation nimepata issue yenye ilikuwa main yenye lead to the failure of this company ilikuwa on product development. So nataka ni come up with a topic that it help to investigate factors zenye lead to the failure, to the factors that led to operational failure of Nokia. Ama naweza angalia how poor product development decisions can lead to failure of an electronic company. Nataka uone penye we do come up with a topic. What I'm trying to emphasize in this case is that make sure that the problem that you are investigating, like the issue that you are investigating or a problem that you are trying to address is really existing for that company. It's a real problem. And your study will now be trying to provide a solution for that. So in my case, if I was doing this project, for example, and my company of focus in this case was Nokia, I would try checking on factors that led to operational failure of Nokia. If I'm using primary data, because I'll go there, interview the employees, interview people who are there, who are working there, to understand specifically what now led to operational failure of Nokia. So that's when I'm using primary data. Assume now I'm using secondary data. You can talk about factors that can lead to operational failure of an electronic company. Factors that lead an impact of kitu fulani on the operational failure of electronic companies. So if you specify on Nokia, for example, factors that led to the operational failure of Nokia. If it's secondary, you have to specify on that company because they will ask you to provide the data that related from the employees of that particular company. So in this case, if it's primary, talk about that company specifically, so that every data that you're going to analyze, imetoka kwa company. So if it is secondary, If it's secondary, you try to be general, but the topic don't be very general in a way that you not be able to meet the aims and objectives of for example, in this case, my topic would be an investigation. An investigation factors that led the failure of Nokia. Inaweza kuwa factors, a study on the factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies. Then hapa mbele uweke case study of Nokia. So in that case, you're going to study Nokia and identify now factors that can lead to operational failure. Sorry. The main concept is missing here. Operational failure of Nokia company. This is now when I'm collecting data from the company or from the employees that were working from in that particular company, and we analyze so that I can be able to understand these factors. If it's secondary, I can investigate on factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies. That would be general. I will be able not to use secondary data. I don't need to go to the company, collect data, that sort of a thing. So as you know, this is my topic. This topic, as you can see it is investigating. It is investigating on a real issue that happened for this particular company. It will try to now, for example, if at the end of it now, we'll be able to identify these factors and recommend for Nokia and other companies on how they should operate in a way that they avoid these factors and they avoid any operational failure. That's what we are going to do at the end. So at least we are trying to fill a knowledge gap. So after you have chosen your topic, you need to go back now, do a research. Research as of how many scholars have done research on this thing. Did they talk specifically about Nokia? So you see how, for example, you can do it uniquely. You need to be unique. Your project should be different from what has been done before, and you should seek to fill a knowledge gap that has not been filled before. So you need to do some research. Actually, I said thorough research. You need to take some time and check what has been done on that particular topic. So assume this is my topic now. If you're doing a topic on, for example, if you're doing a dissertation on public health, assume, for example, unafanya topic ya public health. For example, assume topic yangu ni ya public health. Kama ni ya public health, the first thing that should come from your, as you try to think about the topic, the public health problems that are commonly faced. For example, if the student tells us that the dissertation, the topic should be based on, they should focus on a country like Afghanistan or Syria, for example, assuming you're focusing on Syria. And this is country now that we need to focus on, because, for example, for public health topics, you need to be specific on the place, like the location. You also need to be specific on the population. And you also need to be specific on the issue that you're addressing. So assume you're talking about it's a public health topic that you need to choose. And about an issue that is being faced in Syria. So you're supposed to just go straight.
Recording in progress.
A minute. So in this case, so our focus is on, I'm trying to share document. So the focus is on Syria. It's a public health issue that is being faced in Syria. So you just need to search on public health problems faced in Syria. As simple as that. You get many problems, many public health issues. For example, mainly they are talking about the issue of diabetes, the issue of injuries, the issue of cancer, and they are talking about the issue of cardiovascular diseases. So you just need to focus on one public health issue. For example, in my case, I can talk about the issue of diabetes. So if we have had an issue of increasing rate of infection of this particular disease, I will investigate the factors that have been the reasons behind the increase in the infection rate of that disease. So for example, kama nimefocus on diabetes, we have two types of diabetes. Unaweza focus on the diabetes type 1 and type 2. So you need to be specific on that. And you also need to be specific on the population, on which side of Syria. So for example, investigate, for example, if it is, neither focus on factors behind the increasing infection rate of diabetes type 1 in Syria. Unaweza pia be specific on population, increasing rate of diabetes type 1 among adults in this particular country, India. You just need to be very specific. You need to narrow down your topic as much as you can, so that you can be able to come up with a specific aim that you'll be able to address in a report. Because if your topic is general, you need like 300 pages, 3,000 pages for you to be able to achieve the objective. So that's what we do. Make sure that it is a problem that is existing. That's what I am trying to emphasize in this case. If the problem is existing, it will be very easy for you. Even sometimes it will be easy for you to argue out, and make sure that it's a problem that you can relate, understand the problem, and be able to gather as many sources as possible. Read about what the scholars have said about the issue, so that you can be able to argue out under discussion, be able to argue out in a way that you come up with a valid conclusion, something that you've compared. That's why I always emphasize on the issue of critical writing. When you have a good understanding of the topic of the issue that you're addressing, it becomes easy for you to argue how to issues. Like it'd be easy for you to compare what the scholars have said. Sometimes you'll be able to bring on your personal view of what you're talking about, and it becomes easy for you to critically analyze the issue that you're discussing in your dissertation. So ukisha identify topic yako, what comes next now ni kuandika aim, objectives, and then you think about the methodology. When you talk about public health, mainly when you talk about public health issues, we do systematic review, because you find that there are many scholars who have talked about that particular problem. Now you just bring their ideas together and try to come up with a conclusion that is based on different views of scholars. So that's why mainly in public health we use systematic review methodology. So assume, for example, this is our topic, an investigation on factors that let me reframe it a bit so that it can be our topic, an investigation on factors that leads to the operation of failure of electronic numbering. An investigation on factors that usually lead to the failure of electronic companies. Let me frame it in that way so that I can be able to come up with the feasible aims and objectives. Companies. Yes, so assume, for example, this is our topic. Assume this is our topic. So if this is your topic, it will be very easy for you to write the background, to state the problem, because in the problem section you talk about a success that the company, which is Nokia, has had, and then you talk about, like, to show that there is a gap that is existing. You talk about the issue of operational failure and how it affected the company, and then now utasema in your research you'll be trying to recommend on possible solutions that should be adopted by Nokia and other electronic companies for them to avoid getting into this particular trap. So, in our problem statement, you first of all talk about the success that has been achieved by something or by scholars on that particular field, but you criticize. So your research is going to do what? To feel that now is going to do that thing differently, to give better results that are applicable in the modern market that electronic companies are operating. So in this case, there are many. The network is very poor. Okay. So this is our topic. So if this is our topic, our aim is the main goal that the study, like we study the aim. The aim is now the main goal. The aim is now the main goal that the study will seek to achieve. So we are investigating on the factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies. So what? So the same you are studying will bring right the factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies and recommend on possible solutions that these companies should adopt to avoid falling in the same trap in the future. The main thing that the study is trying to do. So that would be our aim. Identify these factors and now recommend or provide solutions or possible methods that companies in this sector should use to avoid operational failure in the future. So talk about objectives. Objectives now are the specific goals that you need to achieve for you now to be able to achieve the main goal. So for example, the first thing you can start by bring into understanding the concept of operational failure, because we need to first of all understand what's operational failure. Number two, to understand factors that led to the failure of the operational failure of Nokia. Number three, we now recommend the last objective should be on recommending or now your contribution. So we recommend on possible solutions or on strategies that should be adopted by Nokia and electronic companies for them to avoid falling in operational failure trap. So that would be your last objective. You can have more, but the last objective should be now focusing. It should be now narrowed to the contribution of the study. That is the last objective of now our study. Now from there we proceed to the methodology, and with the methodology, that's why I like emphasizing so much, because if your methodology is not feasible, it means that we are going to cook everything, and once we start cooking, if we start talking about things that are not possible, it becomes difficult for us, because we revise that particular chapter for as many times as possible, and then in the end, the professor will not be satisfied with our work. So what I want actually you guys to do in this section is to think about something that is feasible, because we are not cooking anything. We are not getting, if you're using secondary data, we must get that particular data. If you're using primary data, that data must be collected. You not forge anything. We are past that. No one is forging anything. So if it's primary data, we are using questionnaire, we are going to complete the questionnaire and give to the student to collect the data, or we can collect the data if it is online. If it's interviews, of course, the student must be hard talking, like asking the question. So we make the interview, give the student, and then after they have asked or they have conducted the interview, they record the responses and send us the responses. That's what we call transcripts. They are called transcripts, I think so. So we must listen to what the data that have been collected, and we must analyze it. So in this case, we don't forge anything. Nothing is forged in this case. So if we are using primary data, if it is primary data that we are using, ethical approval is mandatory. We must get ethical approval. So we cannot start data collection before our ethics form has been reviewed by the professor and everything has been approved. So for primary data, make sure that the first thing that you should ask me before you've collected the data is, have we filled the ethics form and has it been approved? If we don't, it's not clear about that, don't in any way dare collect the data. Because it's better, I consider it better when the student fails than when he gets academic misconduct because he or she has not collected primary data. Because it's a very minor issue that we should not be committing ourselves to. So make sure that if you're collecting primary data, you've talked to me, we have finalized on everything, and we have clear indication that everything has been approved before we have collected the data. And don't forge anything, because if we are using, for example, we are using online questionnaire, the professor will ask about the results that we got. Because, for example, if you use Sathi Mange and you have the Excel, they must ask for that. If you have conducted interview, the professor will ask for the transcripts, like the responses, the recordings. So we must provide that. So the next thing that comes after this is now ethics form. Let's fill the ethics form. If it's secondary, just be specific that you're going to use secondary data. If it's primary, just be clear on how we are going to collect the data, how we are going to store it, how we are going to observe ethical issues, how we are going to address them. That's what should be covered under ethical consideration. So, for example, let me share an example of an ethics form so that I can briefly take you through the steps. Wait a minute. So assume this is an ethics form. We have some details that you can't fill, like the researcher, you don't know the name of the student, you don't know the email. And if you find an email that has been copy pasted here by the student, don't dare use it because it is monitored by the school. The emails that you normally use, the emails that you normally put here, we have inserted an email address here because we still have some guys who are looking for direct clients. Don't text it because you are wasting me and you are wasting the client. If you get, there's no way you can get a client with that email because it is monitored by the school. So don't put me in trouble trying to poach clients from my site. So the first thing that we do in this case, assume we had this topic, copy paste it there. Copy paste it here. That is a topic. The researcher will enter their name. The final supervisor, you don't know them. We have the email address. The research aim, utaandika hapa. The research aim. Investigate, bring on light factors that lead to operational failure of electronic companies and recommend on possible solutions or strategies that should be adopted for the company to avoid the same. Will you be using or collecting data for this project? Yes. Because we are doing primary, we are collecting primary data. So right here with Andika, yes. No, if no, then you can stop here. But our answer is yes. So we proceed. Data collection methods. In our case, because we want a detailed explanation of what really led to the failure of Nokia. We can approach employees, retired employees from the company. You can approach on mostly you can approach on senior employees of the company. So we need to ask exactly how the company was operating and the problems, the challenges that occurred. We need to be detailed on that. So in this case, I would recommend for what we call interviews, because with interviews the respondent will have enough time to explain on everything that they think led to the failure of the company. So in this case, I would go for interviews. You can go for focus groups. You can also go for questionnaire. But in my case, assume I have selected in the interviews. Some of the study, If you tend to interview retired employees of Nokia, okay, you need to mention them here. So you talk about how you are going to now get, as you know, you cannot interview all of them. How you are going to get the small number. You know, with random sampling, it is a little bit difficult because you have to get the list of all of them and then select your number randomly from there. So you can talk about things like snowboarding. You can say that you know a friend who works there and you who work there, and he or she will help you to get more other guys to interview. So you can talk about snowboarding, talk about convenience sampling. If you talk about random sampling, be able now, you know, with random sampling, you have to go to the organization. You must have what you call gatekeeper's sheet just to be filled. You must get approval letter from the company showing that you've gained permission from the management to go and interview employees from there. So with the random sampling, it's a little bit difficult. So that's why we go for online surveys. That's why we go for interviews. We just need to call the employees, interview them, and get them data. You analyze in a study. All the sample will be recruited. If you're talking about snowballing, you talk about how you know some of the guys that you intend to interview and how those guys will help you to get others. That's what we call convenience sampling. Where data collection will take place. Where will it take place? You just need to call them, unasema. If it's done online, unasema. If it is face to face, unasema face to face na wapi? Ni kwa organization ya wapi? But bisho, if ukiongea kwa organization, lazima upate permission ya kuingia huko. You have to fill gatekeepers and all that. From there, brief overview of the project. Overview of the project, hapa talk about the problem statement. Hii imefanya hii na hii na hii. Hii study itafanya hivi hivi na hivi. The aim of the project, the objectives, zote utaziandika hapa sasa. So problem background kidogo, and problem statement, the aims and objectives. Ndio unaziwekanga kwa brief overview of the project. From there unaenda kwa participants and the methodology. In our case, you talk about now the participants watakuwa retired employees of hii kampuni. Kwa nini umewachagua? Because walikuwa kwa kampuni when it was doing well. And they have witnessed the company fall to a particular nini. So how wako na knowledge of the various operational techniques that the company was using. That's what you cover there. And that will end up methodology. These are the people that will be interviewed. They will be after their phone contact have been, but don't talk about the phone contact because that's private. It will be a bridge to their rights. So talk about access. After you've gained access to the clients, you make a call or now invite kwa Google Meet ama nini. Like there's a way you can invite them through Google, you interview them, after interview them, you record everything. Come on phone call, you make a phone call to the respondents and then record, ask for permission to record after they have filled the consent form and then record. You have to talk about the consent form here. Like for example, uliwapea participant information sheet wakajua about the study, na wakapea consent form wakaifill, and only those that filled the form and agreed to take part in the study ndo uliwapigia ama ndo waliinvite kwa hiyo kwa Google na ukawauliza hizo maswali ukarecord. So it has to be one by one. If it is individual, kama ni focus groups, you need to bring them on the site uongee na wao uwaulize maswali. Kama ni face to face, you need to tell us where you'll meet them, how you're going to ask them, or how you're going to record or save or store your data. But maybe sometimes if it's face by face, you end up going to summarize their responses. If you're doing it over the phone, or you're doing it through Google, you need to record now transcripts that must be submitted with the final project. So that's what we talk about here. After we talk about data collection, how you do the sampling, you also need to talk about the analysis method that you're going to use. Here, mainly we talk about qualitative data. Qualitative. I think I have explained that in details ile video ya methodology section. So you need to talk about the data analysis method that you're going to use. Mainly we use thematic analysis, how you're going to develop common ideas or themes from the collected data, and how you are going now to use these themes as answers to the research question that you're trying to answer. Ethical considerations, sasa hapa ndio utasema the first thing uliwatumia participant information sheet. Umewatumia participant information sheet, ukawatumia consent form, na ni wale wenye wali sign consent form ndo uliouliza maswali. Before you record pia unauliza consent kama mtu anataka urecord, kama hataki data kuna collect. Akitaka, that's when you proceeded to ask the questions. That's now the issue of consent form. You can talk about the you can say that the respondents walikuwa na freedom ya withdraw from the study at any time. Storage of data, and the data was not will be made only available. I mean, like you talk about the issue of privacy, and you talk about the issue of privacy. You can talk about the issue and is it anonymity or what? You remain anonymous through the study. No name, the name of the respondents will not be revealed. Anonymity, don't like that. You'll be anonymous in the study. So no name of the respondent's names will not be revealed. The data will not be revealed to any third party without the consent or without the knowledge of the respondents. Those are the things that you need to cover here, and you need to also explain how you are going to mitigate risks that arise. For example, for privacy, the data utasema it will be stored in a flash, it will be stored on Google Drive, OneDrive, and it will be secured by, encrypted by a very unique password, not only by the researcher. Those are things that you need to discuss here, right? That itakuwa stored wapi, itakuwa encrypted in a way that no one will be able to see it. Na pia after now the study imeisha, the data will be deleted. Those are the things that you're supposed to talk here. Okay, identify ethical issue, the risks, ethical risks or issues that may arise. Be sure to show her as how you're prepared, how your study has been designed in a way that the ethical risks, the risk is minimized, or the chances of the risks occurring are down. Risk mitigation is what I'm talking about. So if it's primary data, you'll be sure to attach participant information sheet. You'll be sure to attach sample form. Kama utatumia questionnaire, lazima uweke sample interview questions that tutatumia, sample questionnaire that tutatumia. Sometimes if you're doing online in the questionnaire, then you unahitaji to get people from online platforms. Unaweza attach ile tunaitanga advertisements. Then una advertise watu ndo, for example, unaambia niko na hii research nataka kuifanya, unatumia watu wanaipost, mwenye ako interested, use this number to get me. So you can also attach sample advertisement if you're doing online questionnaire. So if it is you are doing face to face, which means you're going to the organization and collecting data from there, you must attach gatekeeper information sheet. You must attach all those documents. So be keen with the method that you choose. And when you choose a method, be sure to provide everything that is needed. That's why I'm talking about the issue of visibility. If you're talking, for example, we can talk about a company that is in the US. The student is studying in the UK, and we've talked about face-to-face interview. How will that particular student get to the US and collect the data? So in this case, I want to emphasize on the issue of feasibility of the study. Make sure that it is something that can be done. Make it as easy as possible. Maybe online questionnaire or interview through the phone or interview through Google. And then you collect the data and analyze it. Make sure it's something that is feasible, something that can be done by the student, so that we can avoid these main challenges that arise. So provide with these forms. Provide the participant, if it's primary data that you're collecting, provide the participant information sheet so that you can fill it. You can fill it. For example, you need to talk about the project in also meaning, so that when you send it to the respondent, ajue understand before ajaza vitu zake. So unafaa uniatachie penye itakuwa inakaa ukitumia respondent. So usijibu kama wewe ndio unaulizwa ati hizo interview questions. That's what should be done kwa ethics form. If it's secondary, will you be using or collecting data for this project? You know, if it is collection, if it is secondary, you just say no. And most of the things would be no. So, but ukikuja hapa utaweka brief overview of the project, because kama ni secondary, participants and methodology utaeleza how the secondary data will be collected, utasema it will be searched. Kama ni secondary, utaeleza what will be searched, where will it be searched, inclusion criteria, how the data will be analyzed. That's everything that I want you to cover here. Make sure that you may watch zile videos, you may watch methodology. I think I have like 2 chapters that I've covered on that particular chapter. 2 videos that I've covered on that one chapter. Make sure that you understand everything. Qualitative data, quantitative meaning. Kama you're using secondary data, how we analyze it. Thematic analysis, how we use codes, how we use all those things to analyze, how we use data extraction table, how you need to explain that here in brief and show how you're going to do the search, how you're going to exclude some sources so that you can remain with the relevant and quality sources, how you're going to get data from them now. Data extraction table that summarize so that you can be able to identify themes, and then the themes now that they can answer the search question. I think that has been explained in details. That's why nimeomba kila mtu mwenye ameamua anafanya dissertation, make sure that every time umetulia unapitia hizo videos, because we have explained everything in details, and sometimes mtu anaweza sahau. I also consult them. So don't like usidhani unajua kila kitu with dissertation writing. Sometimes just go back there and try to listen what we discussed and employ the same on your project writing. So I think that's enough for today. Topic selection, how we choose a topic, then how we fill ethics form. For example, kama ni ethics form na tunatumia primary data, vitu mingi zinakuanga yes. Zile zenye unaafford ni zile za risks. For example, unaulizwa kama collect data inaweza harm animals ama inaweza harm, hizo ni no. But kwa secondary, mainly ni no. Are you collecting data, secondary data? Kama secondary data unaweka yes, unaulizwa hiyo data itatoka kwa public sources. Kama unasema yes, inafaa itoka kwa public sources. Ikitoka kwa private sources that are secured ama zenye tunaambiwa to buy, to bring now other issues. So hiyo secondary data tunatumia lazima ikuwe publicly available. So you also need to know about that, so that we don't waste a lot of time filling this ethics form, because lazima itaangaliwa na like sema change vibaya, angalie tena uambiwe change. So be sure to follow everything that we have said. Be sure to just watch these videos, understand everything to do with primary, secondary data, the methodologies, the sheet that we fill, and everything. Make sure you understand all those things, because no one will come for you. Just submit the ethics form the way you send me, so that you can get feedback from the professor. If it needs to be revised more than 3 times, of course I will change the writer. I'll give you up to another writer. So don't wait until you get to that situation whereby unapoteza dissertation that you've already started. So that's enough for today. Let me save the recording and share it with guys who have not been able to join us. So wait a minute. Okay, that's enough for today. Just have a good night. Thank you so much.